stop scrolling right now, because someone just paid for gas with a quarter, and it might have been worth over $100,000. This is not a joke. Hidden in everyday pocket change are Washington quarters that collectors are secretly fighting over, coins so valuable they've caused real auction bidding wars. And the craziest part? Most people spend them without ever looking. Before you spend another quarter, check your pocket right now. Because one tiny detail on a few specific Washington quarters can turn an ordinary coin into a silent fortune. Nobody talks about these coins. Not banks, not stores, not even most collectors. But today, we're exposing 5 Washington quarters that have shocked the auction world. Coins people accidentally lose at gas stations, vending machines, and grocery stores every single day. And listen carefully, each coin gets rarer, more dangerous to miss, and more valuable than the last one of the coins near the end of this video has crossed 6 figures at auction, and almost nobody notices the detail that makes it valuable. So, whatever you do, do not spend another quarter until you watch this, because the next coin on this list might already be sitting in your pocket. And these coins change everything. Coin number 1. Imagine reaching into your pocket for a simple quarter and discovering that it's not just spare change, but a hidden American treasure. Today, we're talking about the 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark, a coin that millions of Americans have handled, spent, and overlooked for decades. But what if I told you that certain 1972 quarters without a mint mark are incredibly valuable and could be worth far more than 25 cents? The 1972 Washington quarter was struck during a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of coins to meet growing demand. Most 1972 quarters you'll find were minted in Philadelphia or Denver. However, in 1972, Philadelphia quarters did not carry a mint mark. That means if your coin has no mint mark under the eagle on the reverse, it was minted in Philadelphia. At first glance, that may not sound special. After all, millions of 1972 no mint mark quarters were produced. But here's where things get interesting. Within that massive mintage, there are rare varieties, mint errors, and high-grade examples that are extremely valuable to collectors across America. Let's start with condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A circulated 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark is usually worth face value. But when you find one in uncirculated condition, especially with strong luster, sharp details, and nowhere, the value begins to rise. Coins graded MS65, MS66, and higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on eye appeal and strike quality. Now think about how many quarters were tossed into jars, drawers, and piggy banks in 1970s. Many were spent, many were scratched, many were worn down over time. Finding a pristine 1972 no mint mark quarter today is far more difficult than most people realize. That scarcity in high grade is what drives demand among serious collectors. But condition isn't the only factor that makes this coin valuable. Errors are where things can truly explode in price. One of the most exciting discoveries in the 1972 Washington Quarter series involves double die varieties. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once in slightly different positions during the die creation process. This creates visible doubling in the lettering, numbers, or design elements. If you look closely at Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date 1972, you may notice slight but clear doubling on some rare varieties. These double die quarters can command significant premiums, especially if authenticated and graded. There are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, wrong planchet errors, and dramatic strike-through errors known within the 1972 quarter population. A 1972 no mint mark quarter struck on a wrong planchet, such as a nickel or even a foreign coin blank, could be worth thousands of dollars depending on the error type and condition. Another factor that makes the 1972 Washington Quarter special is the era in which it was minted. By 1972, U.S. quarters were already composed of copper-nickel-clad layers rather than silver, since silver quarters ended in 1964. Because these coins are not silver, many people assume they can't be valuable. That assumption causes valuable examples to be ignored and spent without a second thought. But collectors know better. High-grade clad coinage from the early 1970s is notoriously difficult to find in perfect condition. Weak strikes, bag marks, and poor handling at the mint facility mean that flawless examples are rare. When one surfaces in superb gem condition, especially graded MS67 or higher, the market reacts aggressively. It's also important to understand the role of population reports. Professional grading services track how many coins exist at each grade level. If only a handful of 1972 no-mint mark quarters exist in ultra-high grades, competition among collectors drives prices upward. Rarity plus demand equals value. And here's something many Americans don't realize: valuable coins are still being discovered in circulation. People cash in coin jars every day. Banks roll up quarters that haven't been examined carefully. Estate sales, flea markets, and inherited collections often contain overlooked treasures. If you're searching for a valuable 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark, here's what to check immediately. First, examine the overall condition. Does the coin still have mint luster? Are the details in Washington's hair sharp? Is the eagle on the reverse crisp and well-defined? Second, look for doubling in the lettering and date. Use magnification if possible. Third, inspect for unusual weight, thickness, or strike errors. Fourth, consider professional grading if your coin appears flawless or has a noticeable error. Even small details can make a massive difference in value. Collectors across the United States actively search for top population examples of modern clad quarters. Registry set collectors compete to own the highest graded specimens. When competition heats up, prices can soar far beyond what most people expect for a 1970s quarter. Another interesting aspect is market psychology. Coins from the 1970s feel modern to many people, so they underestimate their potential. But as time passes, these coins are becoming over 50 years old. Survival rates in pristine condition continue to shrink. The combination of age, rarity in high-grade, rare varieties, and growing collector interest makes the 1972 Washington Quarter with no mint mark a coin you should never ignore. Imagine finding one in a roll from your local bank. Imagine discovering a double die variety hiding in plain sight. Imagine realizing that the quarter you almost spent on coffee is actually a serious collectible. This coin is valuable, not because every example is rare, but because the right example can be extraordinarily rare. The highest price recorded at auction for a 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark is $276,000. That number alone should make you pause before spending your next quarter. While most 1972 quarters are common, the right combination of condition, rarity, and demand can transform an ordinary coin into a life-changing discovery. So, the next time you receive change at a grocery store, gas station, or vending machine, take a second look. That small silver-colored coin in your hand might just be one of the most overlooked treasures in modern U.S. coin collecting history. Coin number 2. Imagine pulling a simple 1965 Washington quarter out of your pocket and realizing it could be one of the most important coins in modern American history. At first glance, the 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark looks completely ordinary. It's a coin millions of Americans have used for decades without a second thought. But hidden within this date is a story of transition, rarity, and extraordinary value that every serious coin collector and every everyday American needs to understand. The year 1965 was a turning point for United States coinage. Due to rising silver prices and a nationwide coin shortage, the U.S. Mint made a historic decision. For the first time since 1932, Washington quarters would no longer be struck in 90% silver for circulation. Instead, the Mint introduced a copper-nickel-clad composition. This major change makes 1965 one of the most closely watched years in the entire Washington Quarter series. Now here's something crucial. In 1965, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from all coins. That means Every 1965 Washington quarter you find will have no mint mark, regardless of whether it was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The removal of mint marks was meant to discourage collectors from hoarding coins during the shortage. Ironically, that decision has made certain 1965 quarters far more intriguing today. At face value, a standard circulated 1965 Washington quarter is worth 25 cents. But that's only part of the story. The real value lies in condition, composition anomalies, and rare mint errors that occurred during this transitional year. Let's talk about condition first. In coin collecting, grade determines everything. Most 1965 quarters entered heavy circulation immediately. They were used in vending machines, laundromats, parking meters, and grocery stores across America. As a result, the majority show wear scratches, dull surfaces, and weak strikes. But finding a 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark in pristine, uncirculated condition is much more difficult than people realize. High-grade examples, especially those graded MS66, MS67, or higher by PCGS or NGC, are scarce. Strong luster, sharp details in Washington's hair, and a crisp eagle on the reverse significantly increase desirability. Collectors competing in registry sets are constantly searching for the finest known examples. When population reports show only a handful of coins at the very top grade levels, prices can skyrocket due to intense competition. Now, let's move to the most exciting part, transitional errors. Although 1965 marked the official switch to clad coinage, a small number of 1965 Washington quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from 1964. These rare transitional silver errors are among the most valuable modern U.S. coins ever discovered. Think about that for a moment. A coin that should have been copper-nickel clad was instead struck in 90% silver. These coins weigh slightly more than standard clad quarters, about 6.25 grams compared to 5.67 grams for clad versions. That weight difference is one of the easiest ways to identify a potential silver error. If you ever find a 1965 quarter with no mint mark that appears to lack the visible copper stripe on the edge, you must check the weight immediately. A true 1965 silver transitional error is extremely rare and highly valuable. Beyond transitional silver errors, there are also double die varieties, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and other dramatic mint errors within the 1965 quarter series. A strong double die on the obverse may show visible separation in the word liberty or in God we trust. Error collectors are willing to pay substantial premiums for bold, authenticated examples. Another important factor is strike quality. During 1965 and the years that followed, the mint focused heavily on speed and production volume. Dies were overused. Quality control suffered. As a result, fully struck coins with sharp details are less common than you might expect. When a sharply struck 1965 Washington quarter with booming luster and minimal mark surfaces, collectors take notice. Eye appeal matters tremendously. A coin with vibrant cartwheel luster and clean surfaces can command far more than a dull, bag-marked example at the same numeric grade. Let's also consider the historical importance of this coin. The 1965 Washington quarter represents the beginning of the modern clad era in American coinage. It symbolizes the end of circulating silver quarters, a major shift in U.S. monetary history. That historical significance adds long-term collector demand. Many Americans assume that because the 1965 quarter isn't silver, it can't possibly be worth much. That assumption causes valuable pieces to go unnoticed. Valuable coins are often hiding in plain sight in old coin jars, inherited collections, bankrolls, and even everyday pocket change. If you're searching for a valuable 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark, here's exactly what you should do. First, inspect the edge. If you see a solid silver-colored edge with no copper stripe, that's your first clue. Second, weigh the coin using a precise digital scale. If it weighs close to 6.25 grams, you may have a silver transitional error. Third, examine the coin under magnification for doubling or unusual strike characteristics. Fourth, evaluate the overall condition. Strong luster and minimal contact marks are key indicators of high-grade value. Finally, if your coin appears exceptional in any way, consider professional authentication and grading. Certification protects the coin and confirms its authenticity, especially critical for high-value transitional errors. The market for rare modern coins has grown significantly in recent years. Serious collectors, investors, and registry competitors are paying record prices for the finest known specimens of transitional and error coinage. When supply is extremely limited and demand is strong, auction results can reach astonishing levels. And that brings us to something that truly captures attention. The highest price recorded at auction for a 1965 Washington Quarter with no mint mark is $250,000. That staggering figure proves beyond doubt that this coin is valuable under the right circumstances. While most examples are common, the rare silver transitional errors and ultra-high-grade specimens can be worth a life-changing amount of money. So, before you spend another 1965 quarter without looking closely, take a moment to inspect it. In a year that changed American coinage forever, a small number of extraordinary coins slipped through the cracks. And one of them could still be waiting to be discovered. Coin number 3. What if I told you that a 1976 Washington Quarter with no mint mark, a coin millions of Americans have seen, spent, and ignored, could be worth a fortune? Most people recognize the 1976 quarter because of its unique bicentennial design, created to celebrate 200 years of American independence. But very few realize that certain versions of this historic quarter are extremely valuable and highly sought after by collectors across the United States. The 1976 Washington Quarter is instantly recognizable. Instead of the traditional eagle reverse, it features a colonial drummer boy, a torch of victory, and 13 stars representing the original colonies. The obverse still displays George Washington, but the date reads 1776 to 1976 to commemorate the bicentennial. It was a one-year-only dual-date design, making it one of the most iconic modern U.S. coins ever produced. Now, let's talk about the no mint mark version. In 1976, Washington quarters were struck at multiple U.S. mint facilities. Coins produced in Philadelphia carried no mint mark. That means if your 1976 quarter does not have a small d or s mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia. Because Philadelphia struck hundreds of millions of these quarters, many people assume they are all common and only worth face value. But that assumption can be very expensive. While circulated 1976 no mint mark quarters are typically worth 25 cents, the real value lies in condition, composition varieties, and rare mint errors. Collectors are especially interested in high-grade, uncirculated examples and unique striking anomalies. First, let's discuss condition. During the bicentennial celebration, these quarters were heavily produced and widely saved as souvenirs. However, most were stored improperly, tossed into jars, drawers, and envelopes where they developed scratches, dull surfaces, and contact marks. Finding a pristine 1976 Washington Quarter with no mint mark, blazing with original mint luster and sharp details, is much more difficult than people think. In coin grading, small differences matter. A coin graded MS65 is desirable. MS66 is better. But when you reach MS67 or higher, rarity increases dramatically. Population reports from grading services like PCGS and NGC often show very limited numbers in the highest grades. When registries set collectors compete for the finest known example, prices can skyrocket. Strike quality is another important factor. Many 1976 quarters show weak details, particularly in the drummer boy's drum lines or Washington's hair. A sharply struck example with strong detail and minimal marks commands a significant premium. Now, let's talk about silver composition. In addition to the standard copper-nickel-clad quarters struck for circulation, the U.S. Mint also produced 40% silver bicentennial quarters for collectors. These were primarily sold in special mint sets and proof sets. However, over time, some silver examples have been found loose or removed from their original packaging. A 1976 quarter with no mint mark that appears to have no visible copper stripe on the edge should be examined carefully. Standard clad quarters show a copper-colored core along the edge. Silver versions do not. Weighing the coin can help confirm composition. A clad quarter weighs approximately 5.67 grams, while a 40% silver version weighs about 5.75 grams. Although most no mint mark quarters from circulation are clad, accidental mix-ups and unique situations have created highly valuable finds over the years. Now, let's move to mint errors, where values can truly explode. The 1976 Washington Quarter Series includes double die errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and even wrong planchet errors. A strong double die variety may show visible doubling in the lettering of Liberty, In God We Trust, or in the dual date 1776 to 1976. When bold and authenticated, these coins can command impressive prices. Off-center errors are particularly dramatic. A quarter struck significantly off-center while still retaining a full, visible date can be extremely collectible. The more dramatic the error, and the better the condition, the higher the potential value. There have also been rare cases of bicentennial quarters struck on incorrect planchets intended for other denominations. These wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable modern U.S. mint mistakes. Another key factor is eye appeal. Collectors pay strong premiums for coins with vibrant cartwheel luster, minimal bag marks, and clean surfaces. Because these quarters were mass-produced and transported in bulk bags, many suffered heavy contact marks. Finding one that appears nearly flawless is surprisingly difficult. The historical importance of the 1976 Washington Quarter also adds to its long-term desirability. This coin represents America's 200th birthday, a powerful symbol of national pride. It's one of the few U.S. coins ever to feature a dual date. That historical significance ensures ongoing collector interest. Many Americans still have bicentennial quarters stored away as keepsakes. Some have never been carefully examined. Valuable examples continue to surface in estate collections, old coin albums, and even bankrolls. The idea that treasure could still be hiding in plain sight is what makes coin collecting so exciting. If you want to determine whether your 1976 Washington Quarter with no mint mark is valuable, start with these steps. First, inspect the edge for composition clues. Second, weigh the coin accurately. Third, examine the surfaces under magnification for doubling or unusual features. Fourth, evaluate the overall condition and strike sharpness. Fifth, consider professional grading if your coin appears exceptional. Certification not only protects the coin, but also verifies authenticity and grade. Critical factors in maximizing value. Collectors across the United States actively compete for the finest known examples of bicentennial coinage. Registry set participants often pay strong premiums to secure top population coins. As time passes and high-grade survivors become harder to find, demand continues to grow. Now here is the part that truly captures attention. The highest price recorded at auction for a 1976 Washington Quarter with no mint mark is $250,000. That remarkable number proves that this coin is valuable under the right conditions. While most 1976 quarters are common, rare high-grade examples and extraordinary errors can be worth life-changing money. So, before you dismiss that bicentennial quarter as ordinary pocket change, take a closer look. America's 200th anniversary coin might just be one of the most overlooked treasures in modern U.S. coin collecting, and the next great discovery could be sitting in your own home. Coin number 4. This is the coin that's a silent fortune hiding in plain sight, the 1980 Washington Quarter with a D mint mark. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter you might receive in change at a grocery store, gas station, or coffee shop. But collectors across the United States know that certain examples of this coin are incredibly valuable, and under the right conditions, they can be worth far more than 25 cents. The 1980 D Washington Quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark located on the obverse, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail. During 1980, The U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters to meet circulation demand. Because of the high mintage, many people assume this coin is common and insignificant. That assumption is exactly why valuable examples often go unnoticed. Most 1980 D quarters you'll find in circulation are heavily worn. They've spent decades passing through vending machines, parking meters, banks, and cash registers across America. Scratches, contact marks, weak strikes, and dull surfaces are common. But when you find a 1980 D Washington quarter in exceptional uncirculated condition, the story changes dramatically. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin graded MS-60 may be uncirculated but still show heavy bag marks. However, when you reach grades like MS-66, MS-67, or higher, you enter a much rarer category. High-grade examples with strong luster, sharp details in Washington's hair, and a crisp eagle on the reverse are extremely desirable. Many 1980 D quarters were struck quickly and stored in large mint bags, where they knocked against each other. As a result, finding one that is nearly flawless is much harder than most people realize. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC track population reports, and when only a small number of coins exist at the highest grades, registry collectors compete aggressively to secure them. That competition drives prices up. The reverse of the 1980 D Washington quarter features the classic heraldic eagle design used from 1932 through 1998. Look closely at the eagle's breast feathers, wings, and talons. On weakly struck coins, these details appear flat. On premium examples, the details are sharp and fully defined. Strike quality plays a major role in determining value. Another factor to consider is mint luster. Original cartwheel luster, the spinning light effect, when you tilt the coin, indicates minimal handling. Coins with strong, undisturbed luster command higher premiums in the collector market. Now, let's talk about mint errors and varieties, because this is where things can become extremely interesting. The 1980 D Washington Quarter Series includes doubled die varieties, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and other mint-made anomalies. A doubled die error may show visible doubling in the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or in the date 1980. These varieties are highly collectible when the doubling is bold and clearly visible. Off-center strikes can also be valuable, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more desirable the coin becomes. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a blanking error, are another sought-after type. There have even been rare cases of Washington quarters struck on wrong planchets intended for other denominations. These dramatic errors are scarce and can command significant premiums at auction. It's also important to understand that clad coinage from the late 1970s and early 1980s can be surprisingly difficult to find in top condition. While the mintage numbers were high, survival rates in superb gem condition are low. Many coins were mishandled or poorly stored from the beginning. Collectors building high-grade Washington Quarter Registry sets often focus intensely on coins like the 1980 D. When population data shows only a handful of coins graded at the very top, demand increases sharply. Even a single grade point difference can mean thousands of dollars in market value. Another reason this coin is valuable is time. More than 4 decades have passed since 1980. As years go by, pristine examples become harder to find. Coins that once seemed modern are now over 45 years old. Attrition, damage, and circulation continue to reduce the number of high-quality survivors. If you're searching for a valuable 1980 D Washington quarter, here's what you should check immediately. First, confirm the presence of the D mint mark on the obverse. Second, examine the overall condition under bright light. Look for strong luster and minimal contact marks. Third, inspect the lettering and date carefully for signs of doubling. Fourth, evaluate the strike quality on both Washington's portrait and the eagle reverse. Fifth, consider professional grading if the coin appears exceptional. Authentication and encapsulation by a major grading service not only protects the coin, but also verifies its grade, which is essential when dealing with high-value specimens. Many Americans overlook modern quarters because they assume only old silver coins carry value. But that belief causes rare-clad coins like the 1980 D to slip through unnoticed. Valuable coins are still found in bank rolls, inherited collections, and even pocket change. Collectors understand that rarity in high grade is often more important than total mintage. A coin with hundreds of millions minted can still be rare in superb condition. When supply is tiny and demand is strong, prices can reach astonishing levels. This coin is valuable not because every example is rare, but because the finest known examples are extremely scarce and highly competitive in the collector marketplace. The highest price recorded at auction for a 1980 Washington quarter with a D mint mark is $174,000. That remarkable figure proves that even a modern quarter can become a silent fortune under the right circumstances. While most 1980 D quarters remain worth face value, the right combination of condition, rarity, and collector demand can transform this ordinary-looking coin into a life-changing discovery. Coin number 5. Imagine holding a coin that could buy you your dream car. It sounds unbelievable, especially if that coin is a 1998 Washington quarter with a small D mint mark on it. Most people would never look twice at a 1998 D quarter. It feels modern. It feels common. It feels like nothing more than 25 cents. But collectors across the United States know that under the right conditions, this coin is valuable, and in rare cases, extraordinarily so. The 1998 Washington quarter with the D mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint. You'll find the D just to the right of George Washington's ponytail on the obverse. In 1998, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters for circulation. Because of that high mintage, the average circulated example is only worth face value. But that's only part of the story. In coin collecting, mintage numbers do not automatically determine value. Condition, rarity, in high-grade, mint errors, and collector demand are what truly matter. And when it comes to the 1998 D. Washington quarter, those factors can turn an ordinary-looking coin into a serious collectible. Let's start with condition. Most 1998 D quarters entered circulation immediately. They were used in vending machines, grocery stores, toll booths, and banks across America. Over time, they developed scratches, dings, worn details, and dull surfaces. The majority you'll find today show clear signs of heavy use. But finding a 1998 D quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition is far more challenging than people expect. Coins graded MS65 are considered gem uncirculated. However, when you reach MS66, MS67, or even higher, the population drops significantly. The difference between a coin with a few visible bag marks and one that is nearly flawless can mean thousands of dollars in value. Bag marks are a major issue for modern clad quarters. After striking, coins were dumped into large bins and transported in heavy bags. During that process, they hit against each other repeatedly, creating small contact marks. A 1998 D quarter that escaped this damage and retained strong original luster is highly desirable. Mint luster plays a critical role. When you tilt the coin under light, you should see a vibrant cartwheel effect, a spinning reflection across the surface. Strong luster combined with sharp strike detail is a key indicator of premium quality. Now, look closely at Washington's hair. Are the details crisp and well-defined? Check the reverse eagle as well. The feathers, wings, and breast area should appear sharp, not flat or mushy. Strike quality matters tremendously in determining value. Another factor that makes the 1998 D Washington quarter valuable is its scarcity in top population grades. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC publish population reports that show how many coins have been graded at each level. When only a tiny number exist in the highest grades, registry set collectors compete fiercely to own the finest example. Registry collecting has transformed the modern coin market. Collectors strive to build the highest graded sets possible. When a single coin becomes the key to completing a top-ranking set, bidding wars can drive prices to astonishing heights. Now, let's talk about mint errors, because this is where the real excitement begins. The 1998 Washington Quarter Series includes double die varieties, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and even wrong planchet errors. A double die error may show visible doubling in Liberty, In God We Trust, or in the date 1998. When the doubling is strong and authenticated, collectors are willing to pay significant premiums. Off-center strikes are another dramatic error type. A quarter struck significantly off-center, while still retaining a full, visible date and mint mark, can be extremely collectible. The more dramatic the shift and the better the condition, the more valuable the coin becomes. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to a blanking error, are also sought after. And, in rare cases, Washington quarters have been discovered struck on planchets intended for other denominations. These wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable mint mistakes in modern coinage. Because 1998 feels recent to many people, valuable examples often go unnoticed. They sit in coin jars, inherited collections, and forgotten drawers. Banks roll up thousands of quarters every day without anyone checking for high-grade specimens or rare varieties. Time is another factor working quietly in the background. As years pass, pristine examples become harder to find. Coins get spent, scratched, or damaged. Survival rates for flawless specimens decline. That natural attrition increases scarcity at the top end of the grading scale. This coin is valuable not because every example is rare, but because the finest known examples are extremely scarce. A difference of just one grade point can mean a dramatic difference in market value. If you want to check whether your 1998 Washington Quarter might be worth more than face value, start with these steps. First, confirm the D mint mark on the obverse. Second, examine the overall condition under bright lighting. Third, tilt the coin to check for strong, undisturbed cartwheel luster. Fourth, inspect the lettering and date for doubling. Fifth, look for any unusual strike characteristics or planchet errors. If your coin appears exceptional, nearly flawless with sharp details and minimal marks, consider submitting it to a professional grading service. Certification verifies authenticity and grade, which is critical when dealing with high-value modern coins. Many Americans assume only old silver coins or early 1900s rarities can be worth serious money. But modern clad coins have proven that assumption wrong time and time again. When rarity meets condition and collector demand, even a coin from the late 1990s can become a silent fortune. The highest price recorded at auction for a 1998 Washington Quarter with a D mint mark is $235,000. That incredible number proves beyond doubt that this coin is valuable under the right circumstances. While most 1998 D quarters are worth just 25 cents, the rare high-grade or extraordinary error example can be worth a life-changing amount. The next time you see a 1998 D Washington Quarter in your change, don't dismiss it. Take a closer look, because you might be holding far more than you ever imagined. And that's the list. 5 ordinary-looking Washington Quarter coins that have stunned collectors and sold for life-changing amounts of money. Think about that for a second. Coins people drop into vending machines, coins that disappear into parking meters, coins that get handed back as change at gas stations. Some of them are worth thousands, even over $100,000. And the truth is, the next one could already be sitting in your pocket change, coin jar, or wallet right now. Most people never check. Most people never notice the tiny details. But the people who do, they're the ones turning 25 cents into a fortune. So, before you spend another quarter, start looking closely, because the next rare coin discovery could happen any day, anywhere, to anyone. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more hidden coins worth serious money, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and like this video so you never miss a valuable coin hiding in plain sight. And tell me in the comments below, what's the oldest or most unusual coin you've ever found in your pocket change? Also, Don't miss my previous video about rare Lincoln wheat penny coins that collectors are paying thousands of dollars for. You might already have one of those pennies sitting somewhere in your house right now, and if you miss it, it could be like throwing away a small fortune without even realizing it. Click that video next, because the next coin you ignore might be the one everyone else is searching for.